What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? Welcome to Jake Richardson's Coaching Corner. Today, we have a special guest, a close friend of mine, James Valero, and he is going to talk about his journey as a model. We're going to give you guys a lot of inside information on the intricacies of modeling, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're going to dive right into it. Oh, man. Just looking good already.
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
Nothing much. Just working on website stuff.
I like it.
How are you?
I'm chilling, man. But the word, what you say?
Like, maybe I should get.
I don't even know what that was.
Oh, just a tote bag.
Well, good, because we're going to be talking about all that plus more when it comes to your journey as the beautiful model man that you are, with the bright white teeth and everything.
It's the lighting, but go ahead.
So the first question I have is, at what age did you start modeling?
Well, it was. I actually got started later in life. I think I was maybe around 28. Yeah, around there. 20. Yeah. So. Yeah, I got started. I was I was studying for my boards for nursing, and I just the bar that I worked as a bartender at closed, so I was kind of looking for ways to make money, and I don't know why, but I said, well, I might as well see if I can make money this way. So took a couple pictures with some friends. They're called digitals, no makeup, just kind of like your natural face, and then sent them in. And, fortunately got called into the agency that I'm with now, the very next day for a meeting and got signed.
And is it uncommon, like you said, you started out later when it comes to modeling? Is it uncommon at that age to sign with an agency?
Um, it's a little later in the game,
Yeah.
When I first started, I was working with a lot of younger talent,
Yeah.
I guess. Girls and guys usually get signed or they start when they're teenagers. So it was late in the game for me, but very fortunate to have had the opportunity.
Yeah. And do you remember the first gig that you ever had?
I think one of the big ones that I had, like the first couple months. The first couple months, they just want you to get comfortable in front of a camera. So, just like anything, I played sports my whole life. I was like, let me get these shots up. Let me practice. So I did what's called test shooting.
Yeah.
Where you shoot with the photographer for free. So, that enabled me to build my confidence, to be in front of the camera, because it's not natural for me. So I had to work at it. But my first big job, I think within the first couple months, was I was flown out to Vegas to shoot at the Aria. The Aria Hotel was opening their wedding chapel, so I was the Asian groom.
Was there an Asian bride, or was it
Everyone, like, she flew out from Miami. I think everyone else was from like New York. I was the only dude from San Francisco, or the West Coast. No, San Francisco. There's some people from LA too, but yeah, I was just like, whatever. I'm here. You kind of get over that imposter syndrome. I still kind of feel it sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're there, you just gotta do your best.
Even doing it this long, you still find the imposter syndrome coming in every once in a while.
Every once in a while. I'm a lot older now. This is like a decade later. So, I just did a job and I was like, sometimes that that'll creep up, like, oh man, I'm still here, I'm still doing this, and um, people are still picking me for these jobs, which is, I feel very blessed. So um, yeah, sometimes you do feel it.
How long does it last? Because, like you say, you've been doing it for 10 years. You've seen it, done it, all of that. How long until that dissolves away per time it comes up?
Uh, I think it's kind of like I'm going to use this analogy again and again, but it's kind of like when you're an athlete and you before the game you get kind of nervous, you doubt yourself, but as soon as like the game starts or the whistle blows to start, you're just like, okay, let's just let's get this done.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Any athletes listening, they could easily connect with that feeling of nerves, and that's actually a better way of saying it. Is a lot of people get imposter syndrome mixed with natural nerves, where it's really your nerves are kicking in, which means that you want to perform well, you want to do well, and then, like you said, the second that you go, you don't think about it anymore. So I'm very curious if people use imposter syndrome and forget that it's more nerves than anything else. Especially if you've been getting paid and doing it for as long as you have, they're not looking at you as a false or a fake.
Yeah, yeah, I think that people can definitely mistake that for it, but it's as much as people think that it's like models or like people in this industry have like a huge ego. I found it to be the opposite. I'm around such like attractive people, tall, great looking, so it like whenever I'm on set, I'm like, oh man, I'm humbled, like I'm humbled to be here, I'm humbled. Like that's where the imposter syndrome comes from. It's like, oh, like that guy is like really handsome. I don't know why I'm here. Like, or I don't know if girls feel the same way, but it's very humbling, especially knowing that I mean, you can't take it too seriously because something like this can be taken away from you like that. When a car accident or something happens, so it's very humbling, and like I definitely appreciate all the experience that I've had.
Oh yeah. And to relay back, because I didn't really get the full answer of that, is at 28 years old, how does it even jump into your mind to even do this?
Uh, when I was younger, I was told that I was, as a kid, I was cute.
Seeing it going there.
Um, and you know, you hear comments sometimes, from people that they can perceive you as, good looking.
Yeah.
And I was actually in really good shape. I was running every day, so I was like at my thinnest. So I figured, might as well give it a shot, and see what people say. And I got, the first agency that I went to, which was a pretty big one at the time. Like I went to an in-person casting and open call, and they said, "Yeah, we like your look, but you don't have any experience. So come back when you have experience." So to me, I was like, "Oh shit, that's a shot to my ego of like, you know, how am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me experience, that type of thing." So I was like, "Fuck it, like let me just send in some pictures to a couple other agencies." And Scout Jada at Scout, which is one of my really good friends now, she immediately responded, got me in there the next day, and I got signed. But yeah, it's I'm so long-winded I forgot what the question was.
No, I mean, you're just pretty much summing it up. If enough people tell you that you are a gorgeous man, you might as well just walk your ass into a door and get some modeling going.
I think it was more desperation too, because I was like, fuck, like bartending is kind of the same way. You smile at people to try and get tips. So I was pretty successful, I thought, at bartending. So I might as well, and I was in shape, so might as well give it a try, see what people say. So,
Hey,
luckily it worked out.
fucking match made in heaven. It sounds good to me. So Is there a story of a wild outfit that you've worn throughout these 10 plus years of doing this?
Is there a what kind of outfit?
Just a wild outfit, an outlandish outfit that you may not have leaned towards, but the money was too great to say no.
I dress pretty. I think it's monotone or monochromatic. So I wear black all the time. That's just what I feel comfortable in. But for some shoots, I've had to wear like really bright, loud colors, which is not too bad. But the one thing that I will say that um, I had to get used to was wearing makeup.
Yeah.
You know, so girls wear makeup. It's great. Guys wear makeup. Whoever wants to wear makeup, that's fine. But for me, for a couple shoots, I had to put like eyeliner on, or they put eyeliner. Called guy liner. I guess that's what they said.
Hey, tough it up.
But yeah, I mean, it looked cool. It was a great concept, and met some really cool friends that day. But yeah, makeup is something that you'd have to get used to. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if it looks good in front of the camera, and it works, then you got to do it.
Does that take a long time when they have you doing the makeup? How long is this process?
It depends on the shoot, right? So if it's like for a commercial shoot, they want you to look pretty natural.
Yeah.
So the process doesn't take very long. Usually hair, if you don't come with hair, your hair kind of halfway done. That'll take a long time too. But I've had some experiences where I've played basketball. The shoot was on a Thursday. I played basketball on a Tuesday. Got elbowed in the fucking mouth and had like huge, like I had to get sewn up or glued up here. And so makeup was longer that day.
Like you said earlier, car accident, punched in the face, something could happen. You mess that moneymaker up.
So it was like, I think it was on this side. And so they just primarily shot me. Which is funny because they didn't ask any questions. They were just like, at the end of the shoot, I went up to the producer and I was like, "Hey, I'm really sorry. Like, this just happened. Like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to cancel on you guys." He's like, "Oh, no problem. We got the shots." He was like, "What the fuck happened though?" So I told him. He was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
It worked.
Would that be the wildest facial hindrance to before a shoot?
That's happened to me. Yeah. I try not to play. Try not to play too much basketball before a shoot, but things happen. That was the wildest thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure that.
Yeah. So then another question I have is you are meeting all these agencies, trying to see which one fit, and then Scout Agency ends up fitting. What separated them from the rest? Did they stay on while these other agencies kind of dissolved away? Give me your impression in the beginning and your love now for Scout Agency.
It was a pretty quick process.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had no idea that getting signed was like that big of a deal. Someone had to tell me like, "Hey, like a lot of people have to work to get signed and it takes a while." But I think I went to the open call the week prior, and then in between I took some shots with some friends, and then the next week I sent it in maybe like on a Tuesday. Jada hit me back that day after seeing the pictures and said, "Hey, can you come in?" So I went in on Wednesday, and I knew that I vibed with Scout because when I was in the waiting room, this is when their office was on Geary Street. When I was in the waiting room, they were playing, I think, Juvenile's like 400 Degrees album. I was like, okay, these guys are cool. So I went in there. Jada was like the sweetest, nicest person. And she believed in me. She was like, yeah, we want to sign you today. So I signed with them. It was a boutique agency before. Now it's grown like in 10 years to being in San Francisco and LA, placing several like hundreds of models worldwide, I want to say. Um, and so it's been really great to see like the growth that we've had together.
I like it, and it's always good, right, when you have an agency that is in its adolescence, you have a new model, you guys come together, and then 10 years later, you're still growing, you're still going.
Yeah, yeah, and what's really cool, and I was just having this conversation with some of the models on set the other day, was when I first started, there was not a lot of people that looked like me, right? There was not a lot of, let's say, ethnically ambiguous, right? Because I've been at like castings where they're like, oh, we want Asian. And they're like, oh, but you don't look like the Asian that we want.
Yeah.
So, like a lot of guys that look like me, it wasn't in style. But as the years progressed, marketing, the companies, or brands, they wanted more people that were ethnically ambiguous. So, I was like doing well. I was booking a lot, which is great. And now, like looking back or looking at our scouts' current roster, whoever's signed now, there's more people that look like me, which is great because that's a younger generation. I really do feel that representation matters. So I'm glad to see people like me being represented in ads and marketing.
Well, you got to be that patriarch that was the first one through the door to help pave the way for all these new young models because you were the first one going.
There was definitely some people that I looked up to when I got in the industry, but I definitely think that there's more now.
Oh yeah. And how hard is that to bide your time, where maybe you're not the it thing now, and how hard is that mentally to go? When is it gonna be my time, or is it ever gonna be my time?
I think I think everyone knows that modeling is not a forever thing, and people are very fortunate to have long careers. So knowing that, I've prepared myself for life after, I'm not come to depend on model money to sustain me. So, in the meantime, I've, being on set was a blessing because I got to see like people at the peak of their skills and power, photographers. I've got to chat with like creative directors for huge brands, see how they put projects together. So it's really inspired me to, go back and get my marketing degree, build up my digital marketing skills because of the influences that I've had being on set and being around creatives. So it's really helped me to build a career outside of modeling.
Well, you did the extremely smart thing, right? Everything runs out eventually. We only have so much energy. We only have so much brain space, physical attributes to utilize, and you have to pivot. So you believed in the pivot. This might, like I said, I won't put you in too many controversial questions. Are there people out there that when you started modeling to now that you see that haven't pivoted, and where has their life kind of taken them? You don't have to name any names, but just general.
So here, to me, the Bay Area is a different type of modeling market, right? If you're in the Bay, like you have to hustle, right? It's so expensive. Cost of living is so high here. So unless you're killing it with like working every day of the week, or and bringing in that type of money, you can only rely on modeling. But I think most of the models that I've worked with, especially in this community, the Bay Area community, they've had to have other careers to sustain them. So I haven't seen anyone that's just kind of like been riding it out for their big break, or everyone's had to pivot, and it's really cool to see the growth. I mean, I follow a lot of friends that I've met through modeling on Instagram, and it's it makes me happy to see them do things outside of modeling, but still, enjoy when they do work.
Yeah. And that all makes a bunch of sense, especially in the space of, is it harder being a male model over a female model in the sense of bookings, in the sense of income? Let's go with those two to begin with.
Um, in terms of income, I don't know, right? I've never asked a female counterpart what they're making. I assume we're making the same, but I think that there's challenges for each. I know that when I first got involved in modeling, everyone was saying the shelf life for a female model was a lot shorter than a male model, right? So, but I don't know. I love the fact that there's all this inclusion and body positivity and kind of like including all different races, ages, personalities, lifestyle choices in today's marketing. So, as far as challenges, if it's better being, a guy versus a girl, or however you want to describe yourself, I don't know. I can only speak from like my position.
Hey,
But as
you're an amazing politician because statistically women get paid way more than men do in modeling.
I'm sure some do.
Yeah.
I'm sure as a whole, as a whole, maybe it's skewed towards the women, but that's fine. Good for them.
Hey, nobody said it wasn't bad for
Yeah.
him. just wanted to know how you felt within the 10 years of that.
No, it's just I try not to hate or pocket check anyone. If they're doing well and it's not hurting anybody, then that's great.
Hey, cheers to that. Well, now another pivot. Being an athlete your whole life and having the ragtag group of friends that you did have, how did they embrace hearing that this gorgeous man right here got into modeling?
I mean, everyone's friends group is, I feel like, the same and a little different, right? So I had friends that were really supportive and like happy. Yeah, and then you have friends that, will make fun of you, even 10 plus years into doing what you're doing. But those are the same friends that they just show love and support in a different way, right? So they'll send you pictures of your work but they'll make fun of you in the pictures.
Yeah.
But to me, it's kind of like saying like, oh, I saw you in this. People just have a different way of communicating.
How did you break it to them? Not like it's a bad thing that you're breaking it to them, but how did you introduce the idea of modeling to these friends?
I actually didn't say too much. I told my really close friends, and I told them like, hey, like I was a little embarrassed about it.
I was gonna ask that.
But, I was just like, hey, this is like what I'm doing, or this is what I'm gonna try and do, But as soon as I like got paid from it, that embarrassment kind of went away.
Oh, for sure.
It's a job like any other job.
Well, I mean, it's obviously very elementary of us to poke fun and make fun of our friends, obviously, when they're doing something that in the skew isn't, super manly, cutting lumber and killing deer or something like that. But when you look at the landscape of it, it's something that forces you to be in shape. It's validation that you're a good-looking man. You get to be around beautiful women all day. And then you also get to make a bunch of money. On the paper front of it, you'd go, not a bad deal.
And I'm very privileged and very blessed to have been doing this and to have done it. I've definitely made it a point not to be like who I am as a person, because I think that's very important. Just try and be the best person you can be, and the best friend that you can be. So I think What's the most important?
Well, that leads me to my next question. How important is authenticity in this space?
Very important. Authenticity in terms of,
You as an individual.
I mean, you definitely. I've never been in a position to really test my principles when I'm on a shoot.
Yeah.
Luckily I haven't had that situation arise. But in terms of authenticity, I'll take it from like a model perspective. If something feels off, then it looks off on the camera. So just being as natural as you can be, which takes practice to get to, right? Just like shooting a jump shot. So if you're shooting and you're trying to get the correct form, naturally your body doesn't want you to do that because it's not used to it. But you do it, you repeat it enough times, and it becomes second nature. So if it doesn't feel like, by the time you get to that point, if it doesn't feel like second nature, then it's going to look awkward in front of the camera, and it's not going to come off authentic. So
I like, and then also, let's take it off of the screen. Let's take it out of the lens, and just the authenticity of a human being in the industry. When it comes to, some people could be very fake in this industry to get ahead, and some people would be very authentic to also get ahead. How important is that compared to being fake?
right. So I've only had experience in this market, right? So I've been represented in other markets too, like Seattle, Portland, and Denver. But I hear, so it's never been like cutthroat from this point of view, like from my point of view. If the client doesn't want me, we're just not the right fit, right? And that's fine. Like like what am I gonna do? It's like trying to get a girl to like you when she doesn't like you. Like, I'm just not your type, at least for now, or you don't see the value in me. That's fine.
Yeah.
But in terms of like cutthroat, I think a better person to talk to would be someone who's worked in like larger markets where there's more competition, as far as like LA or New York. I've definitely heard some stories down there as far as like people being insincere and authentic, or using people, the culture of using, to get ahead. But that hasn't been my experience here.
Hey, if you can dodge it, then you're living a great life. Uh, so then that leads me into the next one: is how important is relationship building in this space?
Very important to me. I think that's what kept me, engaged and busy. When you're on set, I mean, it's like any other job. If you're hiring for a job, you want to hire someone that you enjoy being around, and that that's going to get the job done. So for me, whenever I was on set, I was professional. I try to be professional, try to, but also, try to get to know people and network with people in the most sincere, authentic way, just out of respect for what they do, right, and what they brought their skill set to the job, right? Whether it's a photographer or a digital tech or producer or creative director, makeup artist, anyone that I really vibed with, was because there was a mutual respect there, and I think people liked being around that type of environment or vibe. So I think that's why I was booked multiple times with a lot of different people. You get suggested for jobs. Sometimes it's between two models. Like the client will get a package and will ask the photographer, maybe, I don't know, who do you think out of these? And the photographer will be like, oh, I've worked with him before. He's great. And you can get a job just like that. That actually just happened to me on my last shoot. I walked in there. I was getting fitted, and when I was leaving, I saw a photographer that I worked with before, and he was like, "Oh, James, what's up?" And then I was like, "Oh, what's up, dude? I didn't know you were like working on this." He was like, "Oh yeah, when I saw you on the video, I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy." So I mean, luckily he remembered me, and we made a positive connection, and that led to something more.
So would you say your authenticity helps with your relationship building?
I think so. I think so. It contributed to it for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because there's people out there that could be assholes, and that guy will see them and go, I hated working with them.
right.
Or there's people that could be disingenuous that he goes, I don't want to work with him. But then he sees you and goes, oh no, I work well with James. I know James. That is who he is. Let's get him out here.
Yeah, I mean, you also work to a point where, like, my goal was to get everyone home early, right? So if I can get the shot in less time than it takes someone else, and I'm professional and good to be around, then why wouldn't you want to rebook me,
Yeah.
right? But I think the authenticity, as far as like just being a good person, will definitely get you more jobs than it won't.
No, I agree with that. So then we're going to take it to where you have been pivoting. Obviously, you still do modeling, but you've pivoted into other careers, other income paths. What are the top 3 skills that you learned from modeling that have carried over into these other ventures?
3 skills. Cool. Let's go with networking. That's definitely one.
How important is that?
I'm sorry.
How important is that?
The old saying is your network is your net worth, right? So it's very important. I think that's how a lot of people get jobs, is through word of mouth or through their network. So hugely important. Another thing that I've learned is, or another skill set is, let's see, so networking, and also, I mean, I didn't really learn it on the job, but like professionalism goes a long way. Being on time, treating the job like a job, and also, I'm at a loss for a third skill set. I've learned a lot about photography and lighting, just being on set. So I guess you can say that. I wouldn't call myself a photographer, but I think I know how to take a better picture than most people, just because of the experience that I've had.
Pretty sure that's exactly what a photographer said the second he started getting into photography. Pretty sure I can take a better picture than most people can.
Like, to people who who call themselves and title themselves photographers, I don't think I'm there yet, just because I'm still learning some things, but I do like to take pictures, and I have learned a lot of things from being on site.
Hey, and that makes all the sense in the world, because if you're in the restaurant enough, you'll learn how to cook a steak better than somebody sitting at home.
That's true. That is true.
So,
good point.
Yeah, I think
non-sports analogy.
No, I like it. So then let's say we're talking back to that 28-year-old self. What advice would you give the beginning stage 28-year-old James Valero thinking about stepping into modeling?
Oh man, I've asked myself this very question, and I don't think I would change anything. It's all a learning process, and I enjoy the journey. Maybe give myself some grace, as far as, actually, no, I wouldn't change anything. I think it was great. Hold on, my light went off. Yeah, I think it was great. I think that I learned a lot along the way. There's patches in between where I wasn't in the best shape, so I would tell myself to not drink as much and go easy on the cookies. There you go.
Then, if we could fast forward, what would be something you would ask 48-year-old James Valerio?
Okay. Um, ooh. I at 48, I would tell him to stick to the plan,
Yeah,
execute the plan,
yeah,
and limit the distractions. Um, my word this year is, well, not this year, but my word that I'm focused on is consistency and discipline. And I think that if I really connect with those words and utilize that frame of mind, I can accomplish all the goals that I set forth. So, yeah, consistency and discipline. That's all it is. Yeah.
In your modeling career, did a lot of it have to do with consistency and discipline?
Uh, it did. Yeah. You know, kind of that whole Dion thing: look good, feel good, play good. So, putting in the work to like run every day, watching what I ate, um, and practicing with photographers and getting on shoots. Yeah, that was all part of the consistency and the discipline. So,
And do you find it easy to go back to that template and go, well, I've been consistent, I've been disciplined before. Now it's time to be consistent and disciplined in something else. Does that make it easy, or does that make it hard because you're being consistent and disciplined on something completely different than those skills?
um, I would say that it's easier now to get distracted, um, and that to me that just comes with pivoting. If you pivot from if I was really just all in on modeling and that's what I wanted to do, then I think I'd be a lot more disciplined in going to the gym or what I ate and things like that. But now it's more focusing that consistency and discipline into other areas and other goals that I want to achieve.
Yeah.
So modeling when it comes around, it's great. It's great money. It's a welcome change from my regular, 9 to 5. But yeah, now it's. I'm happy for the younger generation. I see them killing it. Like I wish them all the best. I want to be here as a resource if they need, if they have any questions. But now it's time to like focus more so on other things.
I like that. It's that passing of the torch. And it's funny. Do you see people that are happy with life or have this vigor for life? It's easy for them to pass the torch. It's always the people that aren't fulfilled or weren't able to do it when they should have done it that have such a hard time letting go. So that's a great space to be in.
Yeah, we call that the Al Bundy syndrome. 4 months, I won't die in a single game. Like I've done some cool stuff in my career. Worked for some big brands and been on some cool projects. Um, but yeah, that just comes from security, I guess, and like who you are and what you want to do.
Yeah.
So
To close it all off, not even just advice for a young model coming into it or a young model thinking about getting into it, but just advice that you would like to leave people with. What comes to mind? What's the number one thing?
advice is okay. So I've heard this recently, and I always think about it. I try and focus on it every day, and it's that discipline is the highest form of self-love. So if you have a goal, practice discipline, and you can sacrifice and you know get rid of all the distractions, and it's the highest form of self-love that you can give to yourself, obviously. So with discipline, you can accomplish anything.
Simple, easy, effective, the best way to fucking be.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, and I get a lot of inspiration from you. So
I appreciate that.
credit back out to you. Even my family. I went over to my sister's place, for Thanksgiving, and she has like a snack shelf. And on the snack shelf, she has like tiers of snacks, right? So it's like easily grabbable, hard. And as you go up the tiers, she wrote down uh, post-it notes that said your name. Like, what would Jake do? Like, told her, and like so like I think about that every day. You've had a huge influence on my life in terms of consistency and really putting things into perspective. So very, very happy to be doing this interview with you and to be a good friend to you.
Well, vice versa, brother, because I'm a fiery, energetic human being. And if there's one thing I love about you is you always have a very even, very calm, mellow outlook on life, which helps me to be calm and mellow in times in which I'm not the most calm and mellow.
Really calm.
Not really. When it comes to the both of us, or let's just say you have a great skew on life in the sense of how you view people as a whole. I may not have that, where I'm a little bit more, this is it, and I'm going to go that way. You have a lot more view sets, which helps me have a lot more view sets. So I appreciate that and want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, brother. But hey, thanks for this interview. It's going to help out a lot of people. It helps people think about not just the singular thing that they're doing, but also the ways to pivot from it and staying consistent doing it. Because people get caught up and they go, oh, this isn't working. In the beginning, they didn't know what to do with your look in the beginning. And in that state, a lot of people could easily give up and go, oh, well, this isn't working. What else can I do? You said, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to stay consistent. Then the market opens up and gangbusters. You're getting all the jobs. And I think that people hearing that, no matter what space they're in, it's going to help them make the right decisions.
I honestly, the market's so different now. It's really getting where you fit in. But there's so much body positivity now. There's so much opportunity. Being your authentic self, especially building a following or a community on Instagram, I think really helps. Over the last the recent years, brands have really leaned towards hiring influencers than quote unquote models, right? Because of the reach that they have. So it's really like an open game. So if you're thinking, my advice to anybody that's thinking about getting into modeling, work on yourself and get yourself to be the best version of yourself. Everyone's different, everybody's different, every look is different. But get in where you fit in, and I think everyone can do it. I think there's beauty in everybody, and it depends on what your aim is in this industry. But you just have to kind of believe in yourself, and others will follow.
The best advice to get somebody to be proactive and move forward. So I love it. That's the best way to finish this episode. But good shit, brother, man. I appreciate it. You're the man. I love you. Thanks for coming on. But for everybody at home, James Valero, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Subscribe. Smash the subscribe button now.